Oh, they were totally cool.
You shake my nerves and you rattle my brain.
Our friends always thought they were totally cool.
Too much love drives a man insane. You broke my will, but what a thrill. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire.
Mom was involved with the White Teens and would plan activities for us. We had all sorts of parties with the friends coming to the home. We had all the toga parties from high school at our home, Hawaiian luau's, and we really had a different kind of growing up period because we had all the parties at home.
I'm real nervous, but it sure is fun. Come on, baby. It drives me crazy. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire.
My parents are warm, loving parents. They provided such a stable home for my sister and I. I just felt very, very loved the whole time I was growing up, still do.
I first met the Eggers, obviously, when I first met Patty, which would be around 1957, when Patty and I were sent off to dancing school.
I was actually about 12 years old at the time when I met Lee, and my father had known his father because they were both architects.
We do a lot of things together, and they are unbelievably giving and caring people.
Mom's strength is more she's very persistent, she has high goals, high standards for herself, and she has a good sense of humor with herself as well as with others, and patience. Dad's very patient too, but he's more quiet and reserved in that patience, and they're both very supportive of their children, grandchildren, and family, and friends too. Really, they're friends they've had for years.
When I brought Rick home for the first time and he started getting to know my parents, one of the things that Mom said was that it was the first time that the word armpit came into our dinner table conversation, because Rick was a little bit different than our family, but my parents, I think, always liked Rick a lot. You know, they always thought he was funny, and he's always been just so good to me. So I think they loved Rick from the very, very beginning.
Dale and I dated from my senior year in high school till we got married right after my senior year in college. So we were around the Eggers for 4 years during the dating period.
I don't think my parents thought it was unusual for Rick and I to meet in high school and get married, because that's exactly what they did, and then that's what Patty did.
You know, Dale and her mom have always been close. Dale and her dad have always been close. They did family things, you know, on the weekends growing up for years and years, and that continued the relationship between Dale and the gang and the other children of the gang was really special at that time, and so it's, you know, it's always been a close-knit family, and lots of calls and lots of visits and lots of things, lots of doing things together.
What is it like to have, you know, you've been married for 65 years, one of your daughters has been married for 40, the other one's been married for what, 37?
Yeah,
is it 30?
37.
What does that make you feel like?
It's a good feeling. So it makes you feel like you really accomplished something, that you have produced some worthwhile people, you know, who are very gracious and very kind-hearted and very loving to everybody. And yeah, you're proud of your kids, very proud.
And what about your son-in-laws?
Yeah, of course we are, yeah.
Just about the perfect in-laws, just about the perfect in-laws. You know, they're just terrific. You know, they always there when we needed them, but always gave us space to have our own family and do our own things. And so they were, you know, they became the world's greatest grandparents too, I think.
I have learned so many things from my parents. You know, Being good parents is one of the things. To me, that's the most important thing anybody can be, is to be a good parent. And I think that's what the best lesson I learned was the immense amount of love it takes to bring children up. I think that's the best lesson they ever taught me.
We do have 3 grandchildren, and I have to say they are really exceptional. But it is really exciting to Lee and I that just having them as friends as well as grandchildren, that we feel that's a good feeling, that we really enjoy their company and are pleased when they'll come down to visit with us. And very, very proud of what they've accomplished.
They're what grandparents are supposed to be. When you think of what a grandparent is, like, they define being a grandparent.
We did get to see Katie when she was just a little tiny baby. She was really darling. We decided we'd keep her. Yeah.
Grandma and Grandpa are both just good people. I mean, you know, I don't think there's a day in their lives when they don't do the right thing, and they look at things by trying to do the right thing. And you know, I think, you know, they've influenced my parents, and, you know, hopefully that's come down and influenced the way I lead my life. You know, they're both very hardworking people, and you know, hopefully that keeps me working hard, and Brian and Katie too.
We find it's very exciting to have grandchildren that are adults and have their own lives and are making their own careers, and we just really are pleased that they let us be a part of it, really.
It's really surprised me the ways that I find myself be more and more similar to them over time. You know, I think on one side of my grandfather, who's you know, an architect, and, you know, he was an engineer to start. And while I didn't study engineering in college, you know, the job that I do right now is really, you know, in a lot of ways very similar to architecture, you know, in the way I work with websites. And then on my grandmother's side, you know, I find, you know, the way that she loves to cook and entertain, it's definitely something that's been a part of my life. And, you know, it's just interesting. I don't know whether that's just coincidence or whether it's, you know, I have a feeling it's because this has been passed down.
Well, they just classic grandparents. They, you know, they take a great deal of interest in the grandchildren. Everything the grandchildren do is brilliant, even though we know the truth. The support for them and encouraging them, really neat.
My grandma's a big jokester.
Well, if you have to have grandchildren, these are all right, don't you think? Yeah.
We get along.
My grandma used to put spiders in my bed. So she'd buy little plastic bugs, or she'd send me gifts and she'd just send all these spiders in them. And sometimes I would put them in her bed. One time I guess I baked one into banana bread and sent it to her.
She always had some funny things. She had Brian dressed up as the Easter rabbit one year, and he was convinced that he had to hop in with the Easter eggs. But she was always thinking of something that would make it more interesting and more fun for everybody.
I remember when they used to have their hot tub in the back. The kids had so much fun with them.
We'd have little boat races. We'd get the little plastic boats and race them around the hot tub.
And that was probably the only time of the year that I could go in the jacuzzi, you know, ever get to go in a jacuzzi. And, you know, they had swimmies that I could wear on my arms, you know, so I could paddle around in the jacuzzi.
My dad had this old 911E Porsche. I think it was 911 or 912E Porsche. It was green, and I kind of idolized it.
And my grandfather, when I was probably about 4 years old, he decided that he was going to help us build a Porsche go-kart, and it became a project that we pursued over, I think it probably took about 2 years of going on different vacations and working with him, and I'm sure he put, you know, a ton of work into that project when we weren't there too.
It was great. It had the sheepskin seat just like my dad's. I mean, he knew right what a little boy would want and nailed it. And a little girl, Katie, loved it too.
So it was pretty fun. We were definitely the coolest kids on the block because we had the green go-kart Porsche.
I remember cooking a lot in the kitchen, making cookies, doing some activities like making doll faces out of nylons and stuff like that.
They had this incredible closet full of toys. I could go in there, and I felt like there was always something new. If I could just ask my grandfather to go in there again, we'd discover some new toy back there. I think I thought he was hiding some of his toys from me sometimes, because I was always so convinced that he had this amazing closet full of toys.
I lived with them for the summer between my junior and senior year, and you know, I remember some of my best eating occurred during that time.
I think that the example they have set could be an example for their lives, and I would hope to see that continue on from generation to generation. Family values are very strong, and there's an emphasis on this is the family, and we stick together and work with one another, and that's the primary important thing to getting through.
I hope that Katie and Eric and Brian can take away the love and support that my parents have given all of us, and remember that forever, because it's been a wonderful example for them. It really has.
My grandparents, everyone who meets them, the thing that strikes them the most about my grandparents is that they're just the most energetic couple that they've ever seen. You know, I think it's amazing. They've been together for, well, God, they've been together for probably close to 68, 69 years, you know, and they've been married now for 65 years. It's just truly amazing.